So you have to thank an uncle you don't like very much, or you're calling off the wedding but you're staying in touch, or your sister's dating someone who's suspiciously gay, or you killed your neighbor's cat and you don't know what to say. Just send your situation in a letter to me, because you've got a greeting card emergency.
Hello and welcome to Greeting Card Emergency. I'm your host, David Ellis Dickerson, author of the just-released memoir, House of Cards. The holiday season is on us, and with it comes a very specific problem that I get asked about a lot, and I thought I would deal with this time: how to come out during the holidays as an atheist. This is one of the few situations where a card can actually help things out, because being an atheist is sort of a bomb to drop on somebody, and you need to give people time to react and work through stuff before you see them in person. So if possible, you should be able to send the following cards I'm going to talk about before you get there. This first one is very simple and straightforward and strikes directly at the biggest fear a religious family is going to have when they find out that their child is an atheist. On the outside it says, "I'm an atheist, but I promise not to be a jerk about it." On the inside it says, "I look forward to a pleasant and mutually respectful holiday visit." Coming out as an atheist is different than announcing other sorts of things, because atheism is not a neutral statement. If people were going around telling each other's jobs, I'm a doctor, I'm a fireman or whatever, and one person said, "I think jobs are for idiots." Now, that's sort of what atheism implicitly suggests. And so you have to defuse that right away by saying, look, I'm not a jerk about it. And I think atheism in general, atheists as a class, would do better if they thought of themselves as being possessors of a particular flavor of philosophy that they prefer, rather than they have the truth and everyone else is deluded. Most atheists are not jerks, and that's what I love about the next couple of cards I've come up with. When you mention that you're an atheist, a lot of people react with great fear. And this is, I've come up with a number of ways to sort of defuse that fear. And the first one just goes straight for the heart. Are you ready? See? Oh, it says, "Kittens never go to church, and they're also adorable." On the inside it says, "Me too." How could you look at this and then suddenly feel like, oh, those kittens are going to hell? I don't see it happening. I think it's a nice way of disarming emotionally people who are inclined to react. Bear in mind that if you do your own card with cute animal photos, you can waste a day looking for just the right cute animals. I'm just telling you, I'm warning you now, budget some time. This next card has a more intellectual appeal to it, and your writing on it will vary, but this is just an example. Make a list of about 20 things you believe, and this is mine, and I'm going to read it now. Love, peace, kindness, family, friendship, courage, decency, truth, justice, freedom, honesty, tolerance, jokes, laughter, joy, fair play, God, happiness, honor, and compassion. And on the inside it says, "I believe in all of these except number 17. This again makes it hard to argue with. Like, I came to it, as you find out in my book, I came to it sort of by accident. I sort of woke up one day and realized, for all practical purposes, I'd been living like an atheist for weeks and hadn't even noticed. Living like an atheist turns out to be exactly the same thing as living like a moral person who doesn't go to church. It's exactly the same thing. And so if you think of it that way, it's harder to be afraid of. The last card has a spiritual message to it, and I apologize in advance for my draftsmanship. I'm not that great an artist, but I think you'll agree its message is really, really hard to beat. "A man was mugged and was left lying in the street. A priest saw him and said, 'I'll pray for you.' A preacher passed by and decided to preach against violence. Then an atheist saw him and drove him to a hospital and said, 'Send all the expenses to me.' Which of these was the best neighbor?" You can see why this is good, right? If they have read the original story, which says essentially don't judge someone by what you think they are, but judge them by their actions, they cannot turn around and reject you without also admitting that they have missed the point of Jesus' most famous parable. On the inside it says, "If it helps, just think of me as the good Samaritan atheist." By the way, don't do what I did. I never formally announced that I was an atheist. It just sort of happened and sort of came out in my speech. And so my family, we never talked about it really. It's been almost 15 years. And I finally, last time I came to visit, I was surrounded by my brother, who I was sure was, thinking I was going to hell, my sister, who I was sure was thinking I was going to hell, my dad, and so on. And I actually talked to my dad one night, and I said, I have to ask, when you praying, obviously you're praying for my soul. Are you assuming I'm going to hell? And my dad said, actually, David, mostly I just pray that you're happy. I've been carrying around this sort of fear and readiness to bolt for 15 years, and I didn't need to do it. So I hope these cards in particular help speed the conversation along and get you to a happy, respectful place. And I just have one thing to say to my dad, by the way. Thanks so much, Dad, for saying that. Also, mostly. And for the rest of you, if you're watching this, I hope this has made your day slightly more pleasant.